Welcome to the channel, guys. Back again, and today we are going to talk about Sony's last Marvel film, the end of Sony's Marvel universe. A tragic end, and we're talking about specifically Kraven the Hunter. I think Kraven the Hunter was a very frustrating experience because on one hand you got the Venom films, which are just kind of like mediocre. There's nothing really outright bad about them, but nothing good and noteworthy either. And then you got films like Man on Web or Morbius, where it's so outrageously bad. And Kraven is somewhere in the middle. There's moments of, I think, actual real greatness and authenticity, and then you got some like confusingly bad moments in there where it's like, man, like this film needed a re-edit or a rewrite, and we're gonna get into why that is.
Embrace who you really are, son. And you will become a legend.
When the man comes around. When the man comes around.
So Kraven the Hunter is Sony's latest Marvel Universe film, the last one actually, which is about Kraven the Hunter, who's a Spider-Man villain, and in this film, in this incarnation, he is a hitman, but who is a hitman who targets bad guys, has powers from animals, and he has an affinity for nature and such. And first of all, I think this film has some redeeming qualities, so I want to go over those first. I think the direction overall, I think, was good and strong. I mean, especially compared to like a lot of like superhero films recently. The camera work, the acting, I think a lot of that was really strong, and that comes from the direction. The action sequences as well. It does get very brutal at times, and animalistic, more than I was expecting. So props to that, for sure. I actually like the villain in this film, the Rhino. I liked how he was actually portrayed. Even with the weird quirks and the bad CGI, I was having fun with it. I think the actor had a lot of fun with it too. But more than all of that, I think what I really liked about the movie, or at least when this film focuses on this aspect, is this family drama. At the end of the day, this film, at its core, is about a man who wants to be the opposite of his father, who thinks he's better than his father, a father who's a crime lord, who has killed so many men, women, and children. And then you have some complications with his younger brother, who is more meek, mild, insecure. You don't know where he's gonna go, in which direction. But I think that was kind of a cool moral play in this story, especially the way how it ends. It ends on such a really cool, dark, dramatic note. The film wasn't really focused on that, or at very least not as much as it should. And you almost notice right away, because I remember watching this like the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was pretty entertained. I was like, geez, like why are the critics trashing this? So there must be something wrong with me, because I'm actually having an okay time with this. And then it goes into the origin story, which I'm not against origin stories on principle. And I think in this origin story, there's even some, well-worthy character moments. But it goes on, I swear, at what feels like 40 minutes to an hour, a flashback to when they're kids. I think what could have been summarized in like 10 to 15 minutes, it just kept on going on and on and on. It really just detracted from the main story, the main conflict. So yeah, like really bad pacing issues with that. But even like within that origin story, even throughout the film, there's also like this subplot with this character who I really don't remember, but she's just kind of there to be a deus ex machina to Kraven the Hunter, get him out of tight spots, and introduces like subplots of voodoo magic. And I mean, everything about that origin story I thought was just so contrived and unnecessary, and it kind of ruins the pacing of the film from there on. And on top of that, including in the origin story till the end, the film feels very contrived and rushed, because most of the conflict, it's Kraven, trying to like find all these bad guys, people who are on his list. And well, it was interesting what they could have done, because he's a hunter and all that, and the whole film talks about how he hunts. He's the world's best hunter. That's like his gimmick. But each time he's finding these people, you never really see that. It's just, he calls up the voodoo lady, he says, I need to find this person, and it's like, okay, I found him, he's there. Cut to that country where he's at, and he kills them. It just totally just felt very generic, and I think it was a waste of opportunity for the character in that regard, which adds a feeling of repetitiveness. And that even goes for like a certain villain in this film too, called the Foreigner, who I think the Foreigner was cool in one scene, and then for the rest of the movie they just repeat that scene over and over and over again. You have some exposition dialogue that tries to explain the drama with this villain. I like the actor who played the Foreigner. I liked his concept. I liked the way he was introduced, but it was just so lazily written, I thought. And if you talk about lazy, there's some lazy ADR in this film. Like, it's very bad. It's so obvious that like these actors were dubbing in some of their dialogue after the fact, but there's even like one part where the delivery is just so bad. It's so bad, like just reading off a teleprompter. And here's like the sad thing about all this. Like I said, I think there was actually something kind of good in this film hidden, right? I think the directing work I thought was strong. I think the core dramatic element of this family and the conflict within this family, that should have been the entire movie, but instead it just gets bogged down like all these side characters and contrived sequences to get from one scene to the next. Very lazy writing, and it totally just brings the whole film down. I wanted to like it. I can see the positives, but it totally misses the mark. And I'm gonna give this film, because of that, 2 stars out of 5. I don't think it's the worst movie ever, like some people are saying, but it's definitely not good. I almost wish you could just like re-edit the film, and I think you could make something decent out of it for sure. But as it stands, I can totally see why this is the end of the Sonyverse. I'll never understand what Sony was thinking about making villain spin-off films. Maybe to learn a lesson, I don't know, but we'll see.
You're a goddamn lunatic.
Oh, you just figured that out now?
Thanks for watching, guys. Have you seen Kraven yet? And if you have, what do you think of the movie? And do you have a favorite Sony Marvelverse, or maybe a least favorite, right? Give me that one. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'll see you next time.